Welcome to today's episode. We are excited to be joined by Frank Gutierrez, the owner of CMAX Sanitary Services. He began his journey in 2019 out of Ontario, California. So happy that he's able to join us today. Frank, how you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thanks for joining us. I know you're really active on the different social channels with your TikTok, your Facebook, your Instagram. So pretty cool to be able to get you on this podcast and kind of just get a background on how you started. And one of the first questions I want to ask, and we're going to be asking all of our guests on the show, is what's your favorite part about owning a trash bin and dumpster cleaning service?
Hmm. Favorite part? Well, geez, I hope this isn't our first outtake already, but you know how people say same shit, different day. Um, I genuinely think it's different shit, same day with these trucks. You know, we're literally cleaning crap all day long, and you think you've seen it all. No, I've every single stop can be some adventure of some type. So I just love although it is repetitive in what we do, it's definitely different and unique at every stop. You know, from interactions with people to what you're cleaning. You know, a dumpster or a trash can, or for a school district, for a community. So it's definitely a unique experience on a daily basis. It's repetitive in the work sense, but definitely unique every time you're out there.
I like that answer so far. I think we're off to a great start. And you got your start in 2019, and now you have four trucks in under 4 years. You've got two commercial, two residentials, and I kind of want to get a background on how did you find trash bin cleaning? It's one of my, I think, the most interesting questions to ask because it's such a new industry, right? Only about 12 years here in the United States. How did you kind of stumble into trash bin and dumpster cleaning?
And it literally was a stumble into it. Like literally, I'll try to make it fast. I know we only got what, like 20, 30 minutes here. So,
No, you're good,
um,
as much as you can.
but it genuinely came to me from a friend, actually another subcontractor that was working for me for power washing. We would meet once a month and go over jobs, invoices, billing, and all that stuff. And every time he came to my office and we would discuss just everything, he would always bring up this stupid bin washing idea. And I was like, come on, dude, really? Who wants their trash can clean, right? I was one of those. And so anyways, every time he would come, this was in late 2018, actually. It was 2018. He literally kept telling me, yeah, I'm going to get this truck that could flip a trash bin. And he would just say, flip it. That's all I kept remembering. And I'm just thinking, you were going to wash it, you're going to spill all that crap on the floor. Like, and then after you wash it, you're going to put trash right back in it. Like, it seriously made no sense to me. I couldn't comprehend it. And so, anyways, he kept telling me about it. And until eventually I remember, I'll be honest, I was kind of sick of hearing him talk about it. And I finally just I was like, what's holding you up? Like why haven't you bought a truck already? Like what's the problem? And he tells me that he's waiting for his investors. And I was like, my investor light bulb goes off and I'm like, well, what would an investor get if I was to get in with you or whatever? And his guarantee was pretty amazing. He had told me this is a $60 million industry and I'm gonna get 10%. So I'm going to be in the Bahamas collecting $6 million a year for my 10% investment. so, so at that moment, I knew he was somewhat clueless on how it really works, but it did get me interested. And then that's when we scheduled a trip to meet the legend John Conway in Miami. So honestly, after we went to Miami, we met John and your mom, and I was blown away by everything about it. And then fast forward a couple months later, I think July 19, we got our first truck.
I like the fact that you pointed out the $60 million idea because I think that's one of the misconceptions about the industry is that yes, there's so many bins, there's so many dumpsters, there's a huge potential, but from running it every day, it's a grind. It's not that easy. Some people like yourself think we come with a hose or a pressure washer. They don't understand everything that goes into it and the logistics from finding drivers, but that's pretty funny. And now, I mean, now you love Miami, right, Frank?
Oh,
It's your favorite
absolutely.
place to visit?
Absolutely. I forget. What's that Lechon place next
Oh,
to
Esquina de Lechon.
yes. Oh, that
Yes.
place is amazing.
That is the go-to for when clients come in. I mean, their food, it's unreal and it's very inexpensive. So
Yeah,
that's
no
always,
kidding.
it's right around the corner. We clean their dumpster actually because it's pretty
Nice.
nasty.
No,
So your background, Frank, you did commercial sweet stripping. Am
street
I
sweeping.
correct
Yep.
there? Sweet
Hmm.
stripping. So when you got into this, did you want to primarily focus on commercial? Where was your head at once you made the decision of let's start this venture?
Yeah. So it's funny. I'm not antisocial, but I am at the
Hmm.
same time. I love people, but I hate dealing with people. So it's one of those
Hmm.
things where I love commercial because you're dealing with a different category of clients. You know, you're dealing with people that understand expenses, investing in their properties. And so they're not fighting with me over 90, 100, $120 invoices, you know? And so it's funny when our truck, the SB5, does both, right? It does the dumpsters and the residentials. And when we brought the truck in July 19, my focus was 100% commercial. And truck got here, and sure enough, that's all we did was commercial. Um, and again, my thought process is, what can I charge? What revenue can the truck really generate? And to be conservative, I was thinking, well, if I could do 10 dumpsters a day at $100 a pop, that's $1,000 a day, right? And you just do your math. You do it 5 times a day, it's 5 grand. Do it 4 weeks a month, you're talking 20,000 a month. So that was really the goal, 10 dumpsters a day, and we got pretty close to that. But the the residentials just started climbing, like kind of like crawling onto me, and as much as I kept pushing back, it exploded for us, and I couldn't stay away from it anymore.
It's interesting because I feel like it's normally the reverse. Obviously, you had contacts on a commercial level. Normally, people start with residential and then commercial kind of attacks them because people see you advertising and
Yeah.
they have a need for it. They just don't know there's a solution. So, for you, what's an experience that you can think back on over the last 4-ish years with a client that surprised you the most?
Well, I'll tell you, probably the biggest blessing for us. Again, people. I'm blessed to say I have very, very or high, nation, if not worldwide, brands as our clients. We take care of Amazon from San Diego to Seattle. We take care of all of In-N-Out in Southern California. We take care of City of Pasadena. Tons of big clients, and the number one client that was again a blessing from day one is my interaction with the city of Ontario, and that's my home office, right? Our HQ is in Ontario, and the crazy thing, Victoria, I've probably discussed this with your pops. The first day that our SB5 arrived to Ontario, the first day the Green Monster arrived, we took it out to do a demonstration for a client, and we go to do this interaction, this demo, and I don't even know how to turn the PTO on. Okay, and I have my day porter there. I have one of my helpers there. Burtech was watching me. Clients were watching me. Like it was a show. I blew a hose. When I flipped the bin, I dumped all the compost on the floor. Like it was a disaster. It was a nightmare. But it was one of those things where when the bin came back down, washed it, whatever. It came back down. Think of when a newborn child is born and they're in the bassinet, and imagine the baby opening its eyes and it looks up and it just has surrounding families, grandmother, parents. Wow, look at the baby. That's how we all were. We were all around the compost bin looking inside. It's clean. So it worked. And so anyway, so that was an amazing interaction on the field. But what happened right after was even bigger, where now my truck is all disgusting now. I have rotten food in the back of the truck and the hopper, and it just smells like death in there. So we're driving the truck back to Ontario, and I'm taking it to a car wash. Now I remember your pops, the legend, tells me, "Hey, I told him, where do I dump all the dirty water? He's like, well, some people use a car wash, RV station, it's whatever. I was like, all right, I'll go to a car wash. So I go to a car wash. I open the valve to dump the dirty water. I flood the whole car wash. So I got, shit water to my ankles. Okay, sorry, you can edit that. But anyways, I'm literally, um, I'm flooding this whole thing, and I'm trying to clean the truck, and I'm panicking here because it smells horrible. And all of a sudden, six city pickup trucks, those white Colorados with the beacons on them, they all pull up and they all surround my truck, and they're city Ontario officials, and they don't look nice. They're guys, the construction looking dudes with the big Arnett shades and whatever. They pull up, and they're all with their arms crossed. They're all looking around, and they're just like, "What does this truck do?" And this one, the main guy is looking at me. Well, I say main guy, but really the meanest looking guy. He's looking at the truck and he says, "Does this truck do what I think it does?" And I just remember answering him, "Well, what do you think it does?" And he's like, "Does this wash trash cans?" And I'm like, "Yep." And he's like, in the most serious tone, he's like, "I've been looking for this for 7 years." And I'm just like, "Oh man, like, uh-oh, like this is it, And let me rewind just a second. We remember I had seen your dad at the Las Vegas convention that same year. You guys had a big booth. And when I walked around the floor and I told people we're from Ontario, California, they kept mentioning uh, Ben Mayorga. They kept saying, "Oh, that's Ben Mayorga," because Ontario does its own waste. All the haulers are chomping at the bit to take over the city of Ontario. But Ben Mayorga is the head honcho there, right? So, anyways, let me go back to my interaction here. I got this guy with his arms crossed, looks like I'm gonna get killed, and he's like, "Oh, well, my name's Ben," and when I shook his hand, I'm like, "You're Ben Mayorga," and he's like, "How do you know my name?" And I'm like, "Well, you look like a Ben. You look like a Ben Mayorga," and so whatever. At that point, I get a little smile out of him, right? I see a little bit of teeth. But at that moment, we connected, and literally fast forward a little bit, we now have an exclusive contract with the City of Ontario. We wash all the dumpsters for the City of Ontario. I think one time we washed like 500 dumpsters in a week. It was incredible. It's or not dumpsters, residential cans, but we do residential cans and dumpsters for the City of Ontario, and at the moment, it's our biggest contract, and they've been a major blessing for us.
I love the analogy of a newborn baby and the bin because
Hmm.
I mean, we sell these obviously, so some folks might think it's a sales pitch because they say, "I'm going to go out and get contracts." And we always tell them it's until they see that before and after that truck is a game changer, right?
Hmm.
That you can't make that up. Some pictures maybe can be changed a little bit or altered, but if you see that in person, that completely, I think, changes the perception of what the trucks can actually do. So I love that you are able to, and of course, hoses break when you
Yeah,
need it to to
that,
go the
that's a
most. But
different story.
that's
I'll talk to David
that's
after. What happened there
yeah,
on my
exactly.
first on
Okay,
my first try? I popped it.
give David a call. He'll take care of our service manager over at Sparkling Bins. He'll help you out there. Would you say, obviously you had a background with commercial maintenance? How did you use some of those connections before you got the truck? Were you emailing people, reaching out to them to try and get the buzz, or how did that kind of come about?
So I'm a go with the flow guy. I'll be honest with you. Your team here had sent me a kind of pre podcast list. I didn't read it. I don't. I just I'm a big believer in things happen for a reason. And
Hmm.
and when we brought that truck, I didn't do 1 ounce of marketing. I always say it's so. My wife says I'm lame. I always say if you build it, they will come. Right, the Field of
I
Dreams.
like
And
that. Yeah, I like
and
that.
and I'm not kidding. I brought that truck with not one client. I talked to a handful of people. I'm dumb. I'm dumb, but I'm not that stupid. And like I don't like I know when something's good and I have a great feeling about it. But when I mentioned people what I was thinking, I got good vibes from what I was presenting, but I literally was like, nah, we just got to bring it. And I always have a backup plan. Right? And the thing is, with the bin washer, the SP5 is, it's a power washer on steroids, and you got three monster power washes on there. And I already have a fully functioning power washing company. So if this whole bin washing thing didn't work for me, I just got an extremely expensive power washer
Yeah,
that
yeah, that's the
I
truth.
could still put that rig to work, So
Hmm.
I had a plan B no matter what. But I'm telling you, day one that I got here, we never looked back. We literally landed a handful of shopping centers the first day we got it. Had that interaction with the city of Ontario. Now we're doing the dumpsters for the city for In and Out. It's just these contracts keep falling on our laps, and everybody asks me, "What's the trick? What's the marketing? What?" And I just tell everyone, we're just blessed, man. It's the grace of God that we're getting these contracts because I don't know how it happens. I seriously don't. There's no real explanation. But what I will say is, once we get them, then that's where we step in. Right? Our customer service is, I like to think, top notch. Um, we also, we don't play the blame game. If we mess up on something, I immediately, we may be the right ones in the situation. Oh, your driver didn't show up. We probably wash the crap out of the bin, whatever. I send them right back to go wash it again. I don't fight with clients. I listen to what they got to say. We take care of them.
I love that, Frank. Once again, back inside with Frank Gutierrez, owner of CMAX Sanitary Services. He's out of Ontario, California. He's been in business since 2019, continuing to expand. And with some of those interactions, Frank, what do you think the public feedback has been to this business?
It's amazing. As you know well on the Facebook ads, you get 50 people that love it, and there's always one jerk off that has to put in his 2 cents, right? But for the most part, it's a very, very positive interaction. It's. I think we get just as much interest in signing up for the service in actually getting into the business. You know what I'm saying? Like we go to gas stations, people are like, "Oh, is this a franchise? How can I buy my own truck? How can I do this?" And and again, you've seen our trucks, the big green and black and it pops and people love our branding and I'm actually blown away by how many people actually text me, email me or on Instagram or TikTok or whatever and they'll send me messages just man, can you send me that new shirt? I like your new logo. I like your new this. I like your new hat. So I'm sending people shirts, hats, beanies, sweaters, and what warms my heart is like people post pictures of them at Disneyland or at the Park Lane Ball and or at the mountains. And they're showing, of course, the picture of Disneyland or the park or the mountains. But I see the little C-Max on the T-shirt there. I'll catch a
Gotta get it
little.
in there.
I catch the beanie C-Max there, and it makes me feel good that people would even want to wear a trash bin cleaning company
Yeah,
gear.
you're right.
I try
Hmm.
to make it comfortable and I try to make it look good, more for me and my employees. Um, but it's funny, like I get my employees new shirts, new hats, and whatever, and I see them at the field. They're wearing the old stuff. They're like, Where's the new stuff?" And they're like, "Oh no, I like that shirt. I'm gonna save it when I go out." I'm like, it's your work uniform. You're supposed to wear it for work. But it feels good that people do love our service and then kind of now more the branding side of it.
Where did the name CMAX come from?
So again, I started my original company in 2012. I was in line with my wife getting our business license, and of course, zero creativity. They asked me, "What's your company name?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't think of one yet." Like, well, most people put their initials. So my full name, you may not believe I'm as white as can be as snow here, but my full name is Francisco Javier Gutierrez. Okay, yeah, thanks, mom. And so my company was originally FJG Property Services. Now try saying that 10 times. That's a tongue twister. Okay, so I used to call my clients and be like, "Hey, this is Frank from FJG," and they're like, "Oh, FGG and Opjuju," like they can't say it. So 2 years after I established my DBA, we incorporated the company. And when I was doing my incorporation, my CPA at that moment was like, "Do you want to change your name? You can change it." And at that point, my son was born in 2012, Christian Max, and that's where C Max comes from. It's my son's name. The only problem now is I have two more boys, and I have to build two more companies for them. So otherwise, they're gonna be fighting.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe you can name trucks after them, but I think I'd be annoyed if I was a sibling that had the company name and then, maybe just had
Deal on the
like
truck, man.
one of the trucks. Yeah, that's awesome though. That's incredible, especially for them to see it continuing to grow. Now that you've been in it for 4 years, going into your fourth year basically, what do you think some of the misconceptions are about the industry?
Um, get rich quick.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
it's
sure
a
you
big
guys
one.
get 100,000 calls a day. I'm gonna become a billionaire buying these trucks. Again, my first interaction with my first potential partner was he was gonna pay me 6 million a year. Buying one truck. So it's this is not a get rich quick program. This is literally roll your sleeves up. I'm not trying to make you rich. I'm trying to help you build a business, and that's when and I'm sorry I say that now because we actually established. I had our attorneys draft a licensing agreement because we have so much interest in working with us, and I'm flattered, that people want to work with us, and I say that because when people call me about the truck, I seriously, here's Victoria's number. She'll help you buy a truck. And then the call comes back where they're like, well, how do we get a C-Max truck? And
Mm.
I'm like, well, that's a different story.
Well, hold on.
And so that's where, shout out to buddy Nathan. You've been
Yeah,
helping him.
yeah, Nathan.
He's
Yeah,
he's
another
uh
one.
he's gonna be well. I have two guys, Nathan and another buddy, Renee and Levi. They're going to be our I say potential. They're going to be our first two official licensees. One's going to drop in Belton, Texas, and the other one's going to be here in Paris, California. So we're now expanding the CMAX territories, right? And I told these guys, and I told them straight up, I'm like, look, man, you're going to work harder than you ever worked. You're going to come home smelling like garbage. You're going to come home dropping all your clothes and shoes at the driveway because you don't want this stuff inside of your house.
Absolutely.
and and I think they see it, that there's so much potential. It's extremely gratifying going out there, really doing a service people, you could almost say, need, right? Because of the sanitation side of it. We have clients that sign up for once a week, so it's, people really like this thing. It's not a gimmick, get rich quick thing. It's work hard and results will come.
I think our favorite calls, or my dad's probably least favorite, is when people call in and they say, I'm gonna have 10 trucks by the end of this year. And you have to have ambition, obviously, to be a business person. But
You
we don't want to tell people what to do. But we say, 12 years in business, it's just not how it works. Over time, it's a great thing to grow. And I mean, as you know, with areas, especially as homes keep getting built, there's such a dense radius of it. There's so many different opportunities, but definitely not a $60 million, which I'm glad you touched on because I think that's one of the biggest things we try to preach. We don't, obviously we're selling, but it's to sell to the right people that know this is definitely a long-term investment. With that being said, obviously not a get rich overnight. What's the most important piece of advice you would give to somebody that wants to get into this industry?
Well, again, I'm not a advice guy, only because I can't think that fast. But it's really just anyone trying to get into the industry needs to just have the right expectations. Again, my way of thinking is what can I do on a daily basis? From a daily basis, how is this going to turn into the weekly basis? And from the weekly, you turn into the monthly, right? And so we had two goals when we got residentials going and commercials going. Commercial being 10 dumpsters a day, residentials at one point we were saying 100 trash cans a day at $10 a pop. You're hoping my $1,000 threshold is kind of where I want to get to, and and we're not there yet. We have four trucks, and there's days we don't even get close to that. And but then there's days we're doing $5,000 a day. It's just it really there's a balance, and so again, it's just people need to manage expectations and understand that you're not trying to me is if you're chasing the money, you're starting backwards. To me is I got into sweeping because I wanted flexibility. I didn't know that at the time. I was 27 years old, didn't even know. I just didn't want to miss Laker games, right? When I bought my first sweeper. I was serious. I used to work in retail. and I hated working my retail hours, which was 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And I would miss the Laker games because they start at 7. And when I got into street sweeping, I literally realized I could sweep at night after 10 p.m., be back by 7 a.m. So I was like, sweet, I could hang out with my wife and kid, I could watch the Lakers, and then I can go sweep. And it just worked for me. And at that moment, I didn't realize what I was chasing was freedom and flexibility, managing my own schedule. And then, sure, lo and behold, money started coming after. And more money than I could ever have imagined in that industry. But now with the bin washing, the same thing. When I bought the bin washer, I was managing my own schedule. I was able to work later in the afternoon, early in the morning, whatever I wanted, and those were the things that inspired me to really get this going.
I think being your own boss in itself is just worth all of that hard work that you probably put into to have that flexibility, which a lot of people that call in and want to get into the industry, they work for, let's say, corporate America or other companies, and you work your butt off for those companies, and what do you get back instead of having something that might have your son's name as the company name, which is
Mhm.
awesome. For you, Frank, what are the goals for CMAX Sanitary Services in the next 5 to 10 years?
Hmm. So I have to live up to my name, and not CMAX the name, but there's a company. I won't give them a shout out, but there's another company nearby in the region. But they put out a commercial, a TV commercial, which is great. I've been thinking of doing it. I think I should now. But this guy put out a commercial and says the number one bin washing company in Southern California. This guy has one truck. I have four trucks. So I've ramped it up, and now we are the self-proclaimed number one bin washers for the Western Hemisphere because that's how obviously awesome we are. So, anyways, we literally now have to live up to that expectation that we're the number one in the Western Hemisphere. So that's what we got to do now. Now it's the idea is just keep expanding our territories, working with partners now with the licensing agreement that we're doing. I'm blessed to say I have such a good group of guys around me that really want to help me build this company. My partner Ramiro, he and I are perfect. I'm the ultimate optimist, and he's like, how they say like the half glass full, half empty. Like if there's any ounce of water in that glass, it's like it's totally empty for him. Like it's just the
Hmm.
glass is cracked. That's how he sees it. I love him, and I know when he listens to this, he'll get mad. But anyways, he and I work so perfectly together because he's a perfectionist. Like his
Hmm.
standards are through the roof. Like I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
chill out. But he expects perfection. And when we see people post pictures of their before and after bins at the competition, the first thing we do is like, missed the corner, didn't wipe the rims, they didn't dry the exterior, the wheels still have cobwebs. Nah, that's not the C-Max way. The C-Max way, I'm talking we re-energize or revitalize the bin. It's a brand new bin after we're done with it, and that's because of Ramiro. Ramiro literally set that bar, and now our team below follow his lead, and so we need to stick. We need to first hold the self title of top guys in the West Coast, and our standards of just the way we operate, and again working for clients like In and Out, Amazon, Ontario. Those are prestigious companies that are such high expectations, and they pick us to wash their bins. So I think that's where we have to keep that going, keep that momentum going.
I like the perfectionist attitude. Our drivers, they joke that whenever my dad hops on a route, they know it's going to be a longer day because he's going to triple check that bin and make them get back out there and show them his way of doing it. So it's always comical, and they come back like a little bit after 5 or 6, let's say, and they're like, John was on the route when you're working past hours, but that's what
14
leads
hour
to,
shift, yeah,
yeah.
of course.
And that's we even have, I mean, we have clients that still to this day that were there from day one that'll say, my bins are clean. Trust me, you did an awesome job, but they're not as clean as when John did it. And
Oh
I think
wow.
there's, it's that sense of pride that I'm sure you and Ramiro also
uh,
share.
I'll tell you a funny story, real quick funny
Yeah,
story.
no, go for
and
it. We love
and,
stories.
and so you know I haven't gotten in the truck in quite some time. But there was a day where we were short and I had to get in the truck. So I jump in the truck. I brought my marketing guy. So imagine this: the owner and the marketing guy are going out to wash bins, right? Because the rest of the team was occupied. So we go. We had a little route, and we pull up to this house, and me and Adam were like, "Oh, we're gonna knock this out in 1 minute. Like it's an easy can, right? Easy peasy." So we pull it up, we open it, and there was a bag of trash in there. And it's like, man, I don't know why that upsets me. I'm like, dude, you know we're coming. Why do you throw the trash in? Like, whatever. So I pulled the bag out. It was one little bag of trash. We washed it, we dried it, whatever. Put it right back. I told Adam, I'm throwing their trash right back in. You know, they knew we were coming. I'm putting it right back. Threw the bag in there, closed it. We took off, and I completed it. So it billed the client. Um, I don't know. About 10 minutes later, I get a phone call. And the client says, "Hi, I just got charged for my service, but nobody came to wash my bin." And I said, "I'm sorry, man. What was your name?" She tells me her name, and I'm like, "Oh, I just did it." So you did? Well, whoever. Well, oh no, I didn't even tell her I did it. I said, "No, it was done. It was just completed like 10 minutes ago." She's like, "Well, whoever came did a horrible job because normally when my bin's washed, they take the trash, they deodorize it." It smells like cherries, and they put it next to the side of my house. And somebody came. The trash is still in there. It doesn't smell good, and it's on the side of the curb. They didn't put it. And I was like, "Oh well, ma'am, I'm sorry to say, but I actually personally did it, and I cleaned it. But yeah, I did see your trash. I left your trash in there, and sorry, I didn't put it next to your side of your house." She's like, "Well, whoever does," which I looked, who was the previous visit was Romero. "Whoever comes before you did an incredible job," and I'm kind of she didn't say disappointed, but she was going that route. And I was
Mhm.
like, "Don't worry, we'll be right back." So I had to go
Oh, I
back.
love that.
I had to take her trash, deodorize it, and I did deodorize it. Okay, I did do it,
Yeah.
but Romero has his way of doing it to where when you pop it open, it smells like I don't know.
Ramiro must be using a lot of. That's why all the degreasers running out.
Oh, jeez,
Frank,
yeah.
he's using extra, but that's
It's
I love that.
okay. It's the experience, And I thought it was hilarious that I got called out by the client saying, "Well, whoever
Yeah.
came did a bad job," and it was like, "It was me. Sorry." But those are I personally love those things because I know my team's doing a good job.
Oh, absolutely. And that just, I mean, it shows you that clients care, right? When people call and they're like, well, it's clean, but maybe not as clean. So
As
that's
clean,
when
yeah, yeah,
people
and
ask, it's like they care.
it's the expectation that we've already set from the beginning, so it's kind of our fault now. Now we got to stick to it.
Yeah, I mean, people line up outside to watch. Like they'll call our office to say, "What time are you coming to
Oh
service
my
the
gosh,
bins?" Because I want to watch. It's like,
we
well, traffic happens.
well, I get, and I love it. I get parents or moms that call me like, "What time are you gonna come? My son loves watching while this happens." And one time we showed up, and the boy was playing with a little toy truck, and so we had these little trash cans that say C-Max on them. So we give the little boy a C-Max truck. So every time we show up, he's out there with his little toy truck and his C-Max trash bin. And today it's funny. We got called from a school district that they want us to be a part of this. It's called Touch a Truck toy event. Like I've never heard of one, but they asked us to bring our truck, so we're gonna shine it up nicely, and we got the new heads on there, so we're gonna give them a water show and everything. So pretty cool that they asked us to be a part of that.
That's awesome. I mean, touch of trucks, parades, anywhere where you can get these trucks with eyes on it. I think that just does dividends for the business. But Frank, I want to thank you so much for coming on to our show once again. It's Frank Gutierrez. He's the owner of CMAX Sanitary Services. He's in parts of Ontario, California, and expanding throughout Southern California, the best bin washer in the Western Hemisphere.
That's
You can
right.
follow his accounts on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, CMAX underscore corp. So CMAX underscore corp. Check out what they're doing. Their TikToks are always engaging. And Frank, we thank you not only for joining us on the podcast, but for your loyalty to Sparkling Bins and all you've done and the feedback you provide us with. We really appreciate your business and the business relationship that we've developed with you over the last couple of years.
No, thank you, Victoria. I really appreciate you guys keeping me on here again. When I was asked to come on, I was like, "It's gonna be your most boring episode." So apologize in advance, but thank you again. I do appreciate your time, and you and your dad have been amazing support. Your mom as well. So thank you guys for letting me be a part of this. I've really genuinely appreciated it.
Thanks, Frank. Take care.
All right, take care.